Unleash the fury! Crush them all! For honor and glory!
Shalom, shalom, Ox. Shalom, King James Judah. Shalom, Brother Lamar. How y'all doing, Ox? Oh, Bruce had a great Passover. How was y'all's Passover? Yeah, brothers eat plenty lamb, plenty unleavened bread. This light on. Shalom, Sister Dara. How you doing, sis? Thanks. Yeah, it's a little rainy in this side. Shalom, Sister Danielle. How you doing, sis? A little rainy down here in Dallas. Shalom, Willie Bateman. How was brothers and sisters Passovers? How was the Passover? Did y'all eat unleavened bread? Excuse me. Did y'all eat some lamb? Did y'all eat some bitter herbs? Shalom, Sister Mary Houston, House of Brother Daniel, Battle Axis Houston. How you and the fam doing? Sis, we got to call y'all to see how y'all's Passover went. We had a great time. No Battle Axis. I always try to show up and show out for the Most High. I know that Saturday night at the bars, I know brothers was telling me they didn't leave the building until about 4 o'clock in the morning. So you know Bruce was partying hard for the Most High. So then had to turn around and be right back up to secure the park at about 7:30 or 8 o'clock. So some brothers didn't even get any sleep, man. All praise, glad to hear that, sisters. We're just waiting for a few more people to come in. We setting up. Pray that brothers and sisters, like you say, stay in the spirit, keep that leaven out of your house, meaning what? Out of your temples, making sure that brothers and sisters are staying with the what? The unleavened, meaning what? Keeping the commandments of the Most High. You know, that's what it's all about. Keeping that leaven removed and keeping unleavened in your spirit. Want to make sure that brothers and sisters are building. Shalom, Brother Yazalite. How you doing, Doc? No, missed you in class yesterday, Doc. How Bruce doing? They say had a great time, man. So now on brothers and sisters getting the spirit, getting ready for the new moon, also getting ready for what? For the day of Simon, then also getting ready for what? For the Feast of Pentecost. So those are the next high holy days that are coming up. New moon, day of Simon, Feast of Pentecost. We want to make sure that brothers and sisters, while you simultaneously keeping the leaven out of your spirit, you want to make sure that you're simultaneously preparing your first fruits for the Most High. Yeah, shoot, that's what we here for, Honey Badger, man. Say shalom, it says, you know, I got questions. That's what this platform is here. All praises, man. We pray to the Most High that we answer your questions adequately, you know, to edifications. We'll go ahead and get started. Giving all honor and praises to the Most High and to his son Yahushua. It's Captain Benaniah with the Battle Axes of the Most High, coming to you with another Sunday Smoke class Q&A. Like we say, to answer any questions to the best of our ability through the Spirit and the power of the Most High and his son Yahushua. Like I say, any questions, comments, any smoke, you know, that's what the platform is for. You know, so we can help build brothers and sisters up in their understanding. You know, that's what it's about. Iron sharper than iron. So, yeah, go ahead. If you got any questions, man, that's what this is for. That's exactly what it's for. Know we always got the story to tell. Well, what happened at camp yesterday, man? Know a story, man. So we at camp yesterday, man. It was typically the same familiar spirits that are out there, where brothers and sisters are have been brainwashed with Christianity. And Christianity, Esau, they have done a masterful job at brainwashing our people, brainwashing and putting witchcraft so strong on our people that they forget the words of the Bible and lean to their own understanding. So we dealing with brothers out there, we dealing with sisters out there saying that, guess what? We don't have to keep the commandments. Then we say it's Paul over Christ. Who is the authoritative? Salakia, for lack of better words. Christ. So we literally read Matthew chapter 19, verse 16. The brother then says, oh, he was just telling that brother what he needed to do to reach the kingdom. And I'm talking about it could our people, man. We just got to pray for our people. So, like we asked, so when Christ was out there teaching and he was dealing with people on one-on-one, that wasn't a teaching lesson overall for the general public or for the Israelites that was in that multitude. So, about our people do anything to make excuses, man. That's why it's pivotal that we don't lean to our own understanding. Let's go to the book of Proverbs. Yeah, go ahead, Shalom, Sister TC. Did somebody ask a question or something? Let me go back up. Yeah, go ahead and ask your question, Brother Honey Badger. Go to the book of Proverbs, because this is one of the things that our people, we do this. This is one of them, and I'm going to read another. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse number 5, and it reads, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, meaning what? With all your mind, and lean not to thine own understanding. Leaning to your own understanding is saying things that you should do that is not in the Bible. Saying things that Christianity have taught us that doesn't line up with the scriptures. That's why we always ask. Christianity teaches what? That we should go to church on what day? Sunday. But the Bible tells you that we should be going to church on what day? The seventh day. It tells you that the seventh day is the Sabbath day. Whether a brother's on a lunar calendar, whether a brother's on a full moon, that seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. That's plain. If the Most High God is commanding us to wear fringes, wear your fringes. Don't make excuses saying I wear fringes on my heart. Do what the scriptures say. Then brothers and sisters will say, well, you have to start with it's the inside that matters. Well, guess what? You're right. But that inside should, guess what, show what person you are on the outside as well. I mean, our people just make up the damnedest excuses to serve God in their own way. And that's one thing that we have to stop. The Most High God said that we can't eat pork. We can't then try to run to another scriptures thinking Acts chapter 10 is talking about now you can eat pork. God doesn't change. I'm going to read it again. This is the book of Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5, and it reads, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not to thine own understanding. That's what we must stop doing as a nation of people, man. We have to stop leaning to our own understanding, and we must stop adding to the words of the Most High, man. That's another thing that our people do because they do not want to submit themselves to the righteousness of the Most High. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 22, and verse number 19, and it reads, start at verse 18, and it reads, for I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book. If any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. And a lot of times our people have no implications on what they're doing when they're adding to the words of the Most High. Like the Most High God needs any help. A lot of times that just goes back to doing what? Trying to make up excuses and trying to serve the Most High God your way. Instead of conforming your ways to the Bible, you trying to conform the Bible to your lifestyle. And it doesn't work like that. And it's a judgment against brothers and sisters that have this particular type of spirit. That was the spirit that was out there at camp the whole time. We went from Bible verse to Bible verse, and they still did not want to submit to what the Most High God said. It baffles me on our people, man. Esau have done a great job. Sister Dara said, Sirach chapter 12, verse 7, give unto the good and help not a sinner. That's plain. So Sister Adara said, meaning, please, how do you know who to give or who to help since we all have sinned? Remember, Sister Adara, it's a different version for if you are complacent in your sin or whether or not you are trying to keep the commandments. A lot of times, brothers and sisters, people in Christianity, they get this particular talking point mixed up. So they try to use it as an excuse. Not saying that you're doing it, sis, because it is a legitimate question. So it's a difference between you have once sinned and you are making a lifestyle of sinning. When we came into the truth, true enough, before I came into the truth, yes, I was a sinner. Yes, wholeheartedly. We broke God's commandments. But now that I have came into the truth, I do not make a practice of sin. So when you see brothers and sisters that are not making a practice of sin, those are the brothers and sisters that you are commanded to help. We're not talking about brothers and sisters that when you read the scriptures, they're not trying to apply it at all into their life. This is what Sirach chapter 12 is going into. Let's read that. Because a lot of times the scriptures clear themselves up. We just read down a little bit. They totally clear themselves up. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 12, and we'll start at verse number 1. And it reads, when thou wilt do good, know to whom thou doest, so thou shalt be thanked for thy benefits. The Most High God is letting us know, when you want to do good to someone, know to whom you're doing good to. Because a lot of times we have certain brothers in camps, and believe me, we understand certain spirits that are out there. They do food drives. They do certain things to help the people. Sometimes we may have brothers that have extra shirts with fringes or may have dresses that we pass out to brothers and sisters if they ask. And that's the key word. We prove them on the scriptures whether or not they want to listen to the words and see if they'll try to, guess what, apply God's laws. That's where you are out there reading the Bible and making sure, like we say, it bears witness with their spirit. Because a lot of times we get caught up in helping people. And guess what? Those people don't do a damn thing to try to change their lives. We see it all the time. Prime example, when I first came into the truth and I learned that I was Israelite, I'm like, yeah, I'm an Israelite. I had a little bit of understanding. So I'm out here just homeless people that I seen, black people, I'm just giving them money until I understood this particular verse, just giving them money. You don't know what they was doing with that money. They could have been buying drugs. They could have been buying alcohol. They could have been using that money that I gave them because I didn't know who they were. The spirit that was behind them could have made them tenfold worse. That's what the Most High God means. Know to whom you are giving help to. Meaning you have to know, brothers and sisters. You have to prove them. See whether or not they're striving to keep the commandments of the Most High. Because I know the question. It's also, well, how do you know if they truly keeping the commandments? Well, that's out of your hands, sis. Because if you see from what you see on the outside, it seems like that they are keeping the commandments and it ends up that they're not. That's out of your hands. You have to leave it in the hands of the Most High. Ultimately, he will bring that judgment on them. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 12, verse 1, again from the top. When thou wilt do good, know to whom thou doest, so thou shalt be thanked for thy benefits. Verse 2 is a point. Do good to the godly man. A godly man is a man that's striving to keep the commandments, that is not making a pattern of sin or habits of sin, that are sinning willfully. Do we have some shortcomings in the truth? Yes. That's why Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16 says, a just man falleth several times, but riseth up again. So you're going to have some shortcomings in the truth, but we're not making a pattern of sin. Meaning if you know that you didn't wear your fringes one day, you forgot, I ain't going to go the next day without doing it. If you know you didn't look on the food packages to secure that it's no pork in particular food items that you buy, guess what? Don't do it the next time. If you know you missed Sabbath class, one Sabbath, don't continue to miss another and another. If you didn't make it to Passover, guess what? Next year, you, Lord's will, we hear you strive to make it to that Passover. You don't want to make a pattern of bad behavior, of sin. Verse 2, do good to the godly man, and thou shalt find a recompense. And if not from him, yet from the Most High. So it's good to help our people. Most High God said that is a blessing for you to help a brother, a godly man that's in need. And if that brother can't pay you back, then the Most High God will pay you back. And ain't nothing like getting paid back from the Most High. Verse 3, there can no good come to him that is always occupied in evil, nor to him that giveth no alms. So it's a blessing for brothers and sisters to give alms. We need alms in this ministry. We have a building, we have to keep the lights on. Those alms are not just for the building, but those alms are being stored up for when brothers and sisters fall on hard times that may need some financial assistance. And alms is not just money, it's also the time that you put into this truth. Because a brother or sister ain't got to give no money, but if they come and help clean up the building, help come to make sure things that are all right, buy water, buy cups, buy plates, that is alms as well. Those are good deeds. Verse 4, give to the godly man and help not a sinner. The Most High God is making it plain. So you want to help brothers and sisters that are trying or striving to keep the commandments, but that brother, that sister that you know that you done told the truth to, and not only do they reject it, but they blaspheme against it, those are the people that you don't help. The Most High God makes it plain. Because even like sometimes with the poor people, you don't know what they are doing with that money. Now, it's not to say if you see a brother out there that's homeless and you have extra food that you just can't give it to him that quick. We're saying don't just make a pattern of these things. You understand that, Sister Adara? Shalom, Sister Bayla. How you doing, sis? Honey Badger says, see, I learned that Proverbs 31 scripture solves everyone with man problems. They be trying to lean on their own understanding and can't understand why they're having man problems. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, a lot of sisters, I ain't gonna say some sisters don't exercise Proverbs 31 how it's meant to be exercised. You know, and the Bible is plain about that. You know, who can find a virtuous woman? You know, being a virtuous woman, because our people have been so far put from our true nationality, from the laws, statutes, and commandments, it is hard to find a Proverbs 31 woman, a virtuous woman. Not to say that sisters that are in the truth are not striving to become that, you know, because that's always the goal. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, and verse number 10, and it reads, who can find a virtuous woman? For a price is far above rubies. Having a virtuous woman, it's nothing like it. It's nothing compared to it. A sister that's on one accord with your mind, like it says in the book of Sirach, y'all on one accord with keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. She understands what her role is, and she does anything that she can to, guess what, to back up her husband, a righteous man of the Most High, to keep her children's in order according to the laws of the Most High, making sure that she is guiding her household, making sure her household has the things that it needs to run smoothly. It's nothing like a virtuous woman. So I do agree, Ak, if sisters applied that in the sense that it was supposed to be taken, sisters would be better off. That's why these precepts are in here. Shalom, Sister Jenna. How you doing, sis? Yes, sis, that's what we're talking about. Help not a sinner. Sister Dara said, how do you know if a person on the street is a person on the street or less fortunate? If a person asks that we don't know, do we not help the poor? So I know it kind of goes into what I said. There's nothing wrong with them. Sometimes the spirit will kind of compel you to do certain things, but you have to watch it. Prime example, if you see a brother, you can kind of prove the spirit by the spirit. If you see a brother or sister that's out there and you see them homeless and you have food in there and say, here, brother, I got some food for you. And they say, I don't want that food. I want the money. Are they really in a dire situation? Because someone that is homeless, someone that is very poor, they are going to take that food if they know that they hadn't eaten nothing. So this is one way of brothers and sisters proving that situation. to see whether or not they really are in dire need. That's why I say the Most High God puts the Spirit on you to prove brothers and sisters the proper way. Like when we have them come out there listening to us, that brother or that sister that we know is homeless and they out there, because a lot of times we bring our coolers, we have things out there and they just come and give me a water. I'm like, sister, listen to the word a little bit. Brother, listen to the word. I don't want to listen to that word. What does it show you? This is how you are able to prove brothers and sisters. But to brothers and sisters that are out there listening, you know, they listening for a while. Guess what? A lot of times we offer it to them. Here, brother, because we know a lot of those brothers and sisters that are out there. So it's a way that you have to prove them. Shalom, Mother Mariah. Shalom, Mama Mariah. Shalom, Brother Ray. How you doing, huh? Sister Jenna said, is it okay to eat imitation crab, lobster, chillings, and shrimp if we must because I'm always eating? No, sis, it's not okay to eat imitation anything unclean, you know, because the scriptures is plain. Don't eat those things. So even if it's imitation, no. Because the thing is, you don't want to give or trim your ways, because when other people see you doing that, they take it as if, guess what? She's eating the real thing. A lot of people don't know that when they see you doing that. And a lot of times people will just do what monkey see, monkey do. So no, we don't ever want to do that at all, sis. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 11 and verse number 46. And it reads, this is the law of the beast and of the fowl and of every living creature that moveth in the waters and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth, to make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be eaten. So the Most High God gives us clear, straight commandments on foods that we can and cannot eat, that are in the seas and that are on lands. Verse number 10, the book of Leviticus, chapter 11 and verse 10. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, and of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing that is in the waters, they shall be an abomination to you. So the Most High God gives us classifications on things that we can eat in the waters. It must have scales and it must have fins. That is the qualification for eating things that are in the waters. Crabs don't have fins. Crabs don't have scales. Those things are unclean to us. When people are eating those things, you are taking out the animals that the Most High God have set up to clean the waters and the oceans. That's why the rivers, the oceans, the water looks the way that it does today, because Esau is taking up all that stuff and then selling it to our people and making it seem like it's a delicacy, or like you're on a higher level eating this particular type of food. So no, do not eat imitation, unclean, nothing. Thanks, Sister Danielle. Hit the like buttons. Yeah, a lot of them do have an alcoholic demon on them. You're exactly right. A lot of brothers and sisters, they thinking drinking will take their problems away, because we know, like it says in the book of 1 Samuel, the Most High God is the one that makes poor. And a lot of times brothers and sisters don't know what those people did in the regeneration. It's a lot of variables, because people don't totally understand the Bible. It's a lot of variables that play a part in that. Brother Corey said, Tobit 4 and 11, indeed, alms given for all who practiced it is an excellent offering in the presence of the Most High. Perfect precept. When you read the book of Tobit chapter 4, you read the book of Tobit chapter 11, 12, it talks about alms given. You know, that's a great thing. Christ talked about it in the book of Matthew chapter 6. So giving alms, remember, is not just money. It's the time and the work that you put into the truth. This is the book of Tobit, chapter 12 and verse number 8, and it reads, prayer is good with fasting and alms and righteousness. A little with righteousness is better than much with unrighteousness. It is better to give alms than to lay up gold. So the Most High God, remember, this truth that we're involved in, it takes money to run these things. You know, to visit brothers, to visit sisters in these particular areas, gas money, food. So that's why the Most High God commands us to come together as a nation of people. because when we're together, we're stronger. We're able to help brothers and sisters out that have need. And then in return, guess what? We're able to help them out when things falter, financially or just being there spiritually or just physically for brothers and sisters. Giving alms is helping brothers and sisters move. Giving alms as brothers and sisters help clean the building. That's a part of giving alms as well. So don't just think that alms is just financial. This is also for imitation catfishes, banana blossom, or substitute with sway. But remember, the Most High God made millions of fishes. It's a lot of fishes in the sea. You know, a lot of them. You have bass, red bass, stripe, snapper, crappie. You have different types of fish. We shouldn't just be constrained to just those. You can go to certain marketplaces and they offer you cod, a variety of fish. That's how we know it's something up when you only see catfish places in the hoods. Like, come on, I know that the Most High God, with all his wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, he didn't just make the catfish. Now that's where brothers and sisters have to start thinking, well, if he done made more fishes than that, why is only catfish in our neighborhoods? We have to start thinking about these things. Shalom, Micah. Yeah, shalom, Mike. Let's get that right quick. Shalom, Soldier Azariah. How you doing, Doc? Brother Honey Badger asks, is Romans chapter 1, verse 20 speaking about Gentiles or Greeks and barbarians specifically? We have to remember, in the book of Romans is written to the Israelites that were scattered in Rome, first and foremost. Now, that's not to say that in a letter you won't have other subject matters that are in the letter, but we have to remember that this specific letter is addressed to a specific people. It's the book of Romans, chapter 1 and verse number 7, and it reads, to all that be in Rome, beloved of God. So we know that the only beloved of the Most High is the Israelites, according to Baruch chapter 3, verse 38. Called to be saints, we know according to Isaiah chapter 48, verse 12, the only called are the children of Israel. We know that the called is the Israelites and the saints is going into Psalms 148 and 14. So within this one verse, because I've seen an idiot on TikTok talking about anybody can be a saint. That's literally them adding to the words of the Most High, because the Most High God establishes who his saints are. You cannot add to the word because you want to be all inclusive. You have to understand why the Most High God excluded the people he excluded. Those are the questions that you have to be asking. So when we read Romans chapter 1, verse 7, to all that be in Rome, beloved of God, called to be saints, grace to you and peace from God, our Father, and the Lord Yahushua. So we see that this letter, this epistle, is written to the Israelites that are scattered in Rome. Let's jump down to verse number 20. The book of Romans chapter 1, verse 20, and it reads, for the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are not, that are made. Let me read it. So you will see sometimes where he addresses heathen. You will see that sometimes. Just because you see him address heathens or Gentiles, people cannot automatically assume and open up salvation to them. That's what people make the mistake of doing. You have to make sure that brothers and sisters understand that context. Remember, this is going into God's judgment against ungodliness. This is the book of Romans chapter 1 and verse number 20, and it reads, because that, I'm going to start at verse 18. The book of Romans chapter 1, verse 18, and it reads, for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness, because that which be known of God is manifest in them, for God had showed it unto them. So the Most High God shows you your shortcomings, and he gives us a chance to, guess what, correct them according to the laws of the Most High. Verse 19, for the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made. So we know by seeing the sun, the moon, the stars, we know it's a God. It says, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. So is this the one that you wanted out? Because this basically precepts with Wisdom of Solomon, chapter, if I'm not mistaken, chapter 14. Is this the one that you wanted out? Because I don't see where specifically it's talking about Greeks and barbarians. So is this the one that you wanted out? Give me some feedback. Shalom, brother Azariah. Shalom. I said, can we break down Joel chapter 2, verse 29? They trying to slide them other nations in on it. Yeah, we've been noticing that, man. Scriptures that are plain upon tables, they always trying to make a way. We most certainly can read that, man. It's a simple breakdown. This is the book of Joel, chapter 2 and verse number, because a lot of times they want to read 29, but just start at verse 27. It's the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 27, and it reads, and ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else. And my people shall never be ashamed. So he established that he's only the God of the Israelites, and his people should never be ashamed. Verse 28, and it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. Who is the all flesh? The all flesh is making reference to verse number 27. It says, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions. And also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. And a lot of times we have to understand, even in that time, because an Israelite can be a servant, a Israelite can be a handmaid. Remember, this is just giving visions that the Most High God is giving us dreams in these last days. Even if they're trying to say that, just because they are a servant or a handmaid doesn't mean that they're going to be equal with the Israelites. So I don't even see why they would even want to pull a precept like this. Remember, a lot of times we just have to read up and then just read down a little bit. Verse 29, and also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. And the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. So we see what the Most High God is going to be giving brothers and sisters visions to show them things that are going to happen in these last days. And to get our people to do what? To wake up and repent. To don't just take that dream and just kind of pass it by, especially if it's something that are waking you out of your sleep. Because we know in the book of Job, it tells us that he comes to us in our dreams. We know that. So even if they're trying to say that, which is not in that context, because Israelites can be a servant or a handmaid. Remember, a servant, we're not to rule over our people with rigor. Let me get that precept, then I'll get the other one to show you how people can. People have to understand the context in which is being told, though. Just because you see a brother that's a servant, that's an Israelite, doesn't mean he's in rigorous, hard bondage. No, we had rules on how we did what? Had servants amongst our people. A servant would be like we gave the example last week or week before last, like Jeffrey, the butler on Fresh Prince. They didn't treat Jeffrey like a slave. That was his job to cater to that family. And it's the same context. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 21 and verse number 1. And it reads, now these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them. If thou buy a Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. So we see that we have had Hebrew servants. We have had Israelite servants. You have to understand the context of which is being taught, though, because it's laws on how we have Hebrews and Israelite servants. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 25 and verse number 39, and it reads, "And if thy brother that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor, and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondmaid." So meaning we cannot put a brother that have fallen on hard times in chattel slavery. This literally is a law against that. Verse 40. But as an hired servant, that is his job. He's a hired servant. You're giving that brother a job. Why? To help him get back on his feet financially. But as an hired servant and as a sojourner, he shall be with thee. He shall serve thee until the year of Jubilee. Like how we just read in the book of Exodus chapter 21. Serve for 6 years, and the 7th year he go out for free. So that still has no bearings on that. Brother King James and Judas says, Salaki Clean. Lamar was talking with brother. They're riding motorcycles to Texas, leaving tomorrow. Good day. Oh, Con. All praise. Brothers, be safe, man. Honey Badger says, in Deuteronomy, the Most High God said we can eat anything that flies off the ground and kill itself. Hare, stork, raven, ostrich, fowl, pelican. Yeah, remember, those are like scavengers or like birds of prey. So we cannot eat those. I repeat, we cannot eat birds of prey and scavengers. The Most High God tells us plainly foods that we can and cannot eat. So even when you jump down, this is the book of Leviticus, chapter 11. The dietary laws is in the book of Leviticus, chapter 11, and also in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 14. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 11, and verse number 13, and it reads, and these are they which have an abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. The eagle, the ostrich, the osprey, the vulture, the kite after its kind, every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, and the little owl, and the cormorant, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gar-eagle, and the stork, and the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. All fowls that creep going upon all fours shall be an abomination unto you. So the Most High God is telling us plainly that we cannot eat birds of prey. We cannot eat scavenger birds. Make sure y'all write those things down. As it's saying the same thing. Deuteronomy chapter 14 and verse number 12. But these are they of which ye shall not eat: the eagle, and the ostrich, and the osprey, and the glede, and the kite, and the vulture after his kind, and every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, the little owl, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, the gar-eagle, and the cormorant, and the stork, and the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. So we see these particular animals that we cannot eat. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right, Doc. You're on point. He said we can't eat those things. Like I say, facts. Catfish everywhere. And sis said she never liked it. All praises, sis. Shalom, brother Keith. How you doing, Doc? Throwing up prayers for you being safe out there on that road, Doc. I said they've been riding since they were youngsters. Doc. All praise, man. Like I said, he met another king in the store, man. Didn't see his fringes, but when he walked past, saw his Kodak Israelites on the back. So, of course, I acknowledged him. He turned around. Did y'all talk? Chop it up a little bit? Sister Jenna said, I have a question. I read the story of Samson and Delilah. It's not giving idiot on his end. She should have got cussed out as soon as the first time some Philistine soldier came and tried to attack him. But that goes to a bigger part to stay amongst your kind. And remember, the Most High God had that fall in line the way that he did just so Samson could take down the Philistines to free the Israelites out of slavery. Because the Philistines had the Israelites in slavery. That thing was of the Lord, how everything went down. So when you start in the book of Judges, chapter 13, and verse number 5. Chapter 13 is going into how Israel was sinning. So remember, the result of sin is the Most High God bringing judgments and having the other nations rule over us. So this particular nation that was ruling over us was the Philistines. Philistines are Africans. This is the book of Judges, chapter 13 and verse 5. For lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head. For the child shall be called a Nazarite unto God from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hands of the Philistines. So remember, the Most High God had this play out the way that it did because ultimately he sent Samson as a deliverer unto Israel. Let's jump down. Chapter 14, verse 1. And Samson went down to Timnah and saw a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. And he came up and told his father and mother and said, I have seen a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. Now therefore get her for me to wife. Then his father and his mother said unto him, Is there never a woman among the daughters of thy brethren, or among all my people, that thou goest to take a wife of the uncircumcised Philistines? And Samson said unto his father, Get her for me, for she pleaseth me well. Verse 4. But his father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord. The Most High God put that on his spirit just so that it could go down the way it went down, and ultimately Samson destroyed the Philistines. That he sought an occasion against the Philistines. For at that time, the Philistines had dominion over Israel. So that's how those particular things played out the way that they did, Sister Jenna. He was basically overtaken by this Hamite, which the law commands us that we don't go into. Like when we read the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 3, it's clear commandments not dealing with the other nations. But the Most High God did that just so Samson could destroy the Philistines. He said, in response, we shook hands. Damn, the energy felt good. Khan, don't see kings who know the truth too often. Khan, huh? Shalom, soldier call. We already know. I know you was up at work. Khan, huh? It says also Samson and Delilah remind me so much of the rapper Trouble the way he passed. What you mean, sis? What rapper Trouble? Shalom, brother Ash. How you doing? How you feeling? Shalom, E love, sis. You and Ak, how y'all doing? I don't want to abuse your name. Ak says Shalom Cap. I am in Portland, Oregon. I haven't seen any camp per out here. I'm basically an individualite until I'm about to relocate to another state. I'm gonna tell you, a lot of times, most I gotta put that spirit on you. You seen Officer E Hood relocated from Florida, because he didn't have any brews down there. We were trying to set up a better ex camp down there. It didn't work. So I moved him and his family to Dallas, man. And a lot of times you have to do what you have to do, to keep yourself in the spirit, to kind of gather yourselves around like-minded people, man. The Most High God put that on your spirit, Og. By all means, man, follow that spirit, man. Because it's not for naught. Brother Honey Badger said, I read Saul was supposed to destroy the Philistines, but end up integrating with a fruit and saving Gentiles, Amalek. Yeah, Saul went off bad. He went off bad. Most High God He was dealing with Most High God was dealing with him, but after he was disobedient to the Most High God put a different spirit on him, an evil spirit entered into him. So he started to do that which was not right. So there's always a what? A judgment for us going off. Always a judgment. So yeah, he was supposed to get rid of them. This is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 20. Start at verse 19. The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 15, and verse 19, and it reads, Wherefore then didst thou not obey the voice of the Lord, but didst fly upon the spoil, and didst evil in the sight of the Lord? And Saul said unto Samuel, Yea, I have obeyed the voice of the Lord, line, and have gone in the way which the Lord sent me, and have brought Agag, the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. So he didn't follow. He took the spoils. The Most High God said, kill all the spoils and kill every man of Amalek. He said he did keep the commandments, but he brought back the king of Amalek. So he went off. Verse 21, but the people took up the spoil, sheep and oxen, the chief of the things which should been utterly destroyed, to sacrifice unto the Lord thy God in Gilgal. And Samuel said, had the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. Verse 23 is the point. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he had also rejected thee from being king. So we have to understand it's always a what? A judgment for brothers and sisters that commit sin. Now, the Most High God has the time to exercise it immediately, or he can drag out and bring that judgment upon you whenever he likes. But we have to understand that it's a consequence for sin. That's why Esau has no problem in teaching our people in Christianity that we no longer have to keep the commandments. Evil feels good. Seems like what we always say with Eddie Murphy and Vampire in Brooklyn. Evil is good. And a lot of times our people run with it. We just run with it, man. Because the Most High God is not judging them expediently, but guess what? It's going to be a judgment that comes behind people breaking the commandments. Let me jump over. This is the book of 1 Samuel chapter 16 and verse number 13. And it reads, Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. Verse 14, but the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. So we have to understand this is a judgment. So not only did the Most High God take him from being king, he also took his spirit away from him, and he replaced his righteous spirit with an evil spirit. And brothers and sisters have to understand the consequences of sin. A lot of times we think that the Most High God, we know what judgment he's going to bring. You don't know what judgment the Most High God can exercise in his armory of judgments. It's death, financial troubles, health problems, family problems, job problems. It's all type of things that the Most High God can jack you up. I ain't gonna lie. Taking his spirit and replacing it with an evil spirit, to me, that's an all-time high. That's got to be number one. Because think about it, man. To take your Holy Spirit and to now replace it with the spirit that you had before you got in the truth, and you still don't know it, that's a dangerous thing, man. To now reject the truth, to just be like a damn African American or a nigga out there. Say that's some heavy stuff right there, man. So that's a part of the judgments. It says the rapper named Trouble, he died because he followed a woman to a trap house and had killed. Almost the same thing happened to Samson. I hadn't heard about that, sis. Well, I mean, that's preference. I know Brother Honey Badger said, was Ezra the greatest prophet of Samuel? You know, I mean, hey, That's in the eyes of the beholder, you know, because I would say, even according to the scriptures, a person would say there is none greater than John the Baptist. And we know that John the Baptist was Elijah. So, you know what I'm saying? I kind of keep that at that. Yeah, call me again. What time did you call, Brother Lamar? We weren't in class, was we? Yeah, just call me again. Actually, that's what Bruise is here for, man. To help Bruise deal with spirits and to give brothers the right precepts that brothers can uh, meditate on. So yeah, just give me a call again. Remember, call me if I don't call. You know what I'm saying? Just always shoot me a text or something. You know what I'm saying? Shoot a text so I can get back to you on that call. But it depends on what hours, because we've been working long hours at my job. Sometimes I work like 13 hours. You know what I'm saying? So uh, just always call or leave a text out. You know, smarter than most. It says, how can the Most High jack you up with all these things if you're born into all these things, curse, bad health, poverty? Well, that's a part of it, because the thing is, he only jacks us up. Let me take that back. Let me use wisdom. He brings those judgments on us when we disobey him. Now, that's the difference between the Most High God bringing judgment on us versus chastising. Because when you're chastised by the Most High, he's chastening you to strengthen you. When he's bringing judgments on you, that's him trying to destroy you. So it's a total difference. So he has the result. He has the reserve the right to do as he please, because he has given us instructions. And when we don't do our part, I mean, it's nothing left but to bring out judgment. Smarter than most. So, do you agree? Because of course, even like brothers and sisters really misunderstand it. Yes, we are born into sin, but just because we're born into sin doesn't mean that we have to live a lifestyle of sin. The Most High God gives you commandments that you should follow to where you don't sin. Remember, the strength of the law, how you overcome sin is by the law. But because our people have been brainwashed with saying that we cannot keep the commandments, our people, that's all our people know. And we can keep the commandments of the Most High. This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 56, and it reads, the sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. So how you overcome sin is by keeping the laws of God. So that if you don't want the Most High God to bring judgments out on you, don't get on his bad side. Like he told Cain. He told Cain something simple. Let's read that. It's from the beginning. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 4 and verse number 6. This is after Cain didn't follow instructions on giving a proper sacrifice. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 4 and verse number 5. But unto Cain and to his offering, he had not respect. Why didn't he have respect? Obviously, because Cain didn't do something that the Most High God commanded him to do. Plain and simple. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, meaning if you keep my commandments, thou shalt thou not be accepted. If you do what I tell you, you shall be accepted. Let's keep reading. And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire. Who is the thee? Satan. Meaning when you are not keeping God's laws, statutes, and commandments, by default, you are serving and worshiping Satan just by default. A lot of people don't even know that they serving Satan even right now. Yes, and people could be going to church, because guess what? That ain't the day that the Most High God told you to go to church on anyway. They're up in there singing all those praise songs and praise dances, and they serving the devil and have no idea. Why? Because they're not keeping the commandments of the Most High. It says, and thou shalt rule over him, meaning God is no longer your God. Satan is your God. So if you do what the Most High God commands you to do, you don't have nothing to worry about. Brother James asking, did you come out okay at the doctor, Sister Jenna? Brother Honey Badger said in Nehemiah 16:19, is it referring to the Israelites? No, not all the times, Doc. And I'm glad that you said that. That's what I was just trying to clear up. Because the Most High God will still chastise you. We see the situation with who? With John the Baptist. We also see the situation with what? With Christ. Remember, we thinking on a carnal mindset. So yes, they died, but remember, they didn't die in vain because ultimately they're still going to get the kingdom. So we got to understand that aspect. The Most High God can chasten you even when you are keeping the commandments, because he may see some little things in your life that you need to do what up the ante on. And he's also doing that to do what? To strengthen you. Just like my son. You know, we play basketball. I talk to my son all the time because I play basketball. So I'm knowing certain things that he needs to correct. He can play basketball, but just because he know how to play, he's good, doesn't mean that I still don't get on him about things that he can do what? To do better. So let me start back up because I don't want to jump, because I knew that's kind of where you was going to go next, smarter than most. But let me go to this Nehemiah real quick. Then we'll come back, give you Bible verses on it. Remember, everything that we do, we want to make sure that we're pulling scriptures, Bible verses to answer brothers and sisters' questions. You said Nehemiah chapter 16, verse 19. Remember, the book of Nehemiah goes to chapter 13. Brother Honey Badgers. So maybe you probably misquoted. Put another one in. So when the Most High God is jacking you up, it's not to just destroy you. That's not what this is about. This is the book of 2nd Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse number 12, and it reads, now beseech those that read this book that they be not discouraged for these calamities. Don't be discouraged for the calamities that happen to our people, but that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for a chastening of our nation. For it is a token of his great goodness. Meaning when we're chastened in this walk, it's a sign. The word token means sign. It's a sign of his great goodness when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punished. For not as with other nations, whom the Lord patiently forbeareth to punish, till they come to the fullness of their sins, so dealeth he with us. I mean, the Most High God is jacking us up all the time, chastening us. But the other nations seem like they ain't nothing happening to them. And they're doing all type of madness and wickedness on earth. The Most High God is letting a punishment build up. He's letting it build up. That's what he's saying right here. So just because we get jacked up or get chastised, don't look for that, thinking that the Most High God is trying to destroy us. No, he's trying to chastening us, and he's trying to strengthen us, to buckle down more hard, to be more serious about this truth, to wear your fringes, to not eat pork, to have chaste conversations when you're amongst other people, to govern yourself accordingly to the words of the Most High. Now you say things gonna happen regardless, and that's true, but you want to make sure that you're on the right side of things. You want to make sure that you're on the right side of the Most High at the end of the day. Because a lot of times it seems like our people just, well, it's gonna happen anyway, so let me just continue in sin. No, because a lot of times people think that death is the end. That's not the end. Most High God has punishments out here. Say, brothers better be careful. You have to be careful. Let me prove it. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 9 and verse number 10, and it reads, for such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me, and they that have loathed my law while they yet had liberty, And when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. So we have brothers and sisters that have the liberty to institute God's laws into their life. You have that liberty. You have that grace. You have that mercy. Not only did they not understand that, but they despise keeping God's laws. So it's a judgment that has to come behind that. Let's read about it. Verse 12, the same must know it after death by pain. So how do you have pain after death? Meaning the Most High God is going to jack with your spirit. So a lot of times people thinking that they're going to be able to escape with death. No. Most High God has something for the wicked of our people, man. Honey Badger says, women who can have children, is that a curse from God like Hannah in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 5? Well, no, that's not a, you said can't? Now, to a degree it is, because the Most High God commanded us, that's one of the laws, to be fruitful and to multiply. And sisters also knew that it was their duty to do what? Bring forth Israelite children on a grand scale. That's how you make your nation strong. You know, sisters understood that in these times, but now our sisters don't understand it. That's why they easily run to get what? Abortions. You know, just kill off the baby. You have certain sisters that had 2, 3, 4, 5 abortions, man. Have no problem killing the children of Israel. We don't take pride in, guess what? Having children. Because a lot of times we're doing it out of the wrong order. You're getting one night stands, you're getting jump off, you're letting the guys just all up in you. Guys don't want to take responsibility in being fathers. Things are just out of whack. Now she's terminating the pregnancy. That's wicked. That's just straight up wicked. This is the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 4. Chapter 5 and verse number 11. This is the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 5, verse 11, and it reads, but the younger women refuse, for when they have begun to wax wanting against Christ, they will marry. I'm going to start at verse 14. I would therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guard the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachably unto you. So like to speak reproachably. So remember, our sisters knew what their duty was. They understood that the Most High God created them to do what? Mass produce us on a grand scale. It was their job, their duty to bring forth babies. So yes, there would be like a curse when you couldn't. That's why you have Leah during the time of Jacob. Leah and Rachel was at odds with one another because she knew it was her duty as a wife to do what? To bring forth children for her husband. So yes, most definitely. Like you have the account, Rachel and Leah. You also have the account of Hannah. That's why she asked the Most High, give him a child and I will give him unto you. That's exactly right. It's the book of 1 Samuel chapter 1. Just want to set it with that. First Samuel chapter 5. You said First Samuel? Yes. First Samuel chapter 1, verse 5. This is the book of First Samuel chapter 1, verse 5. But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he loved Hannah, but the Lord had shut up her womb. So remember, the Most High God exercises the right to do whatever he wants. So these things are for specific purposes. A lot of times the Bible may not say, but we can conclude that the Most High God did this specifically so he can have what? Samuel as a prophet unto him, given unto the Lord. Let's keep reading. Verse 6, and her adversary also provoked her sore, for to make her fret, because the Lord has shut up her womb, as he did so year by year. So she went up to the house of the Lord, and she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat. And Elkanah, her husband, Salakia, then said Elkanah, her husband, to her, Hannah, why weepest thou? And why eatest thou not? And why is thy heart grieved? Am not I better to thee than 10 sons? Verse 9. So Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh, and after they had drunk. Now Eli the priest sat upon a seat by a post of the temple of the Lord, Salakia. And she was in bitterness of soul and prayed unto the Lord and wept sore. And she vowed a vow and said, Lord of hosts, if thou would indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid and remember me and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a man child, then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. So she vowed a vow. The Most High God honored that vow. Hey, she said if he would give her a man child, then he would give that child unto her. I mean, this sister's in the spirit. I can't even lie. Think about it, man. She wanted a child that bad that she wanted the child. And guess what? Gave him to the Lord to do the office of a priest, to do the office of a prophet, man. That's a unselfish act, man. That's the spirit that sisters need to be putting on in these last days. But it's the total opposite spirit. Now you have sisters that don't give a damn about the nation, constantly at odds with black men, constantly at odds with children. Nation is just totally out of whack. This is the spirit that, guess what? When Christ comes back, he's putting that spirit back into the sisters, man. You know, he's putting that spirit back into the sisters because this was a selfless act. Great spirit that sis had. It says Acts chapter 7, verse 48, the Most High doesn't dwell in temples made by man's hands. Come. Smarter than most said, if a person is lazy and don't care to go to the doctor and your health fails, how's that God's judgment? When you could have not lived in fear and went to the doctor, didn't you cause the health damage? Now, to an extent, yeah, you're right. Because even like in the book of Sirach, it tells us, don't neglect the doctors. Don't neglect yourself. The Most High God has made medicine. He's made the doctors for us. So to an extent, you're right. The Most High God gives us the understanding of all those things. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 38 and verse 1, and it reads, honor a physician with the honor due unto him, for the uses which ye may have of him. For the Lord had created him. So we know that the Most High has created doctors. He had created medicines to do what? To help us. Verse 2, for of the Most High cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. The skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. So that's what we tell brothers and sisters. That's why it's also pivotal that you keep the commandments, because we know it's a stigma, a stereotype upon black people due to the oppression, the racism that Edomites, Caucasians have put on us by going to the doctor, thinking that we are like super human beings. To an extent we are, that we don't need certain pain medicine, that we can tolerate pain, that we don't have to get adequate medical attention. So a lot of times that has a play into that as well. Also, remember we have to take it in totality and not just bits and pieces. But while you're keeping the commandments, the Most High God can put it on those doctor spirits to deal righteously with you. So when you come into the truth, the Bible talks about that. Don't be fearful of going to the doctor. Like I said, a few years ago, I found out that I was a diabetic. I didn't want to go, even being in the truth, and then going over precepts, meditate on this thing. Hey, let me go to the doctor. Hey, babe, take me to the doctor. I know I'm not feeling right. I know something is not right. So I went and they told me. You know what I'm saying? So we have to understand that first we have to keep the commandments. And if we're keeping the commandments, the Most High got to make those people deal righteously with you. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 38 and verse 4. And it reads, the Lord had created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. So if you are wise, meaning you have understanding of the scriptures, don't abhor, meaning don't hate medicine. Most High God made medicines to make us better. Don't worry about Esau. Like we say, if those things do come amok, let the Most High God fight those battles for you. But I agree. Brothers, sisters do have to go to the hospital. That's right. Perfect precept for the conversation earlier. Soldier called Psalms 94 and 12. Blessed is the man whom the chastening, who endured the chastening of the Lord, and teacheth him out of thy law. Oh, sis said she didn't go to the doctor. Shalom, brother Tyler Hansbrough. Shalom, Chillian. Oh, her mom. Well, you throwing up the prayers for your mom, sis. Sister Dara says Chillian was reading Sirach 38 yesterday regarding the physical and sicknesses. Glad you're better, like the brother said. The Most High got you, con, sis. Adara, not adorable, con. All praises. Sister Adara said Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 18. Can you explain this, Cap? Let's get it right quick. Deuteronomy chapter 10, and verse number 18. So this is going into the requirements for Israel. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 10 and verse number 18. And it reads, he doth execute the judgment of the fatherless and widow, and loveth the stranger, and giving him food and raiment. So what is the point that you want in her? Oh, verse number 19. Love ye therefore the stranger, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. So a lot of times when brothers and sisters see words like Gentiles, words like strangers, you don't understand that those words have contexts to their meanings. So we'll set the premise. Israelites can be strangers. Israelites can be Gentiles, depending on the context. Let's go to some scriptures. And this is what the Most High God is talking about. Israelites can be strangers. It's the book of Leviticus chapter 25 and verse number 35. The book of Leviticus chapter 25 and verse 35. And it reads, and if thy brother be waxen poor and fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him. Yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee. So we have to understand in certain contexts, Israelites can be strangers. Prime examples, Battle Axe headquarters is in Dallas, Texas. So we have brothers and sisters that are all over. So we have brothers and sisters coming in from Minnesota or from Florida or from New York or from California. They will be considered a what? Stranger, because they don't live in the area that Battle Axe's headquarters is at. That's all that this saying. They will be coming in from an out of town. Prime example, you have a brother that's a Judite. Go to the land of Benjamin, he would be considered a stranger. Why? Because the land of Benjamin predominantly were for the Benjamites. Not saying that other tribes couldn't come, but it's saying that guess what? If you come into our land, you would be considered a stranger. And it's our job to treat you the same way as we would another person from the tribe of Benjamin. That's all that this is saying. A lot of times people think that it's talking about the other nations. No, it's talking about Israelites that are not in their respected homelands. We're still commanded to treat them the same way as we would if it's a person from our original tribe. Remember why? Because we're all of the nation of Israel. No matter if you're a Benjamite, a Manassite, an Asherite, you know, a Zebulonite, all these particular things fall up under that category. That's the point that brothers and sisters need to meditate on. This is the perfect precept, Leviticus chapter 25, verse 35, because we don't know, especially new brothers and sisters, in the truth that Israelites can be strangers. So it depends on the context in which it is used. Prime example. Let's get a prime example. And I'm going to ask you, Sister Adara. All praise, Sister Danielle. Have a good week, Lord's will, sis. Let's go to the book of Exodus chapter 12, verse 43. This is going into rules of the Passover. This is the book of Exodus chapter 12, verse 43. And I got a question for you, Sister Adara. And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof. What does that mean? What stranger is this, Sister Adara? Sister Adara, real quick, what stranger do you think this is in Exodus chapter 12, verse 43? If you could type that in for us, sister, what stranger do you think that this is in Exodus chapter 12, verse 43? Brother Asher said there's a cicada variant circulating for the C virus. Yeah, it sounds like it's about to start raining again. Sister Adara, you still there, sis? What stranger is this in Exodus chapter 12, verse 43? It's the book of Exodus chapter 12, verse 43, and it reads, And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, This is the ordinance of the Passover. Thou shalt no stranger eat thereof. So in this context, the Most High God is saying, no stranger can eat of the Passover. This stranger is talking about the literal strangers. Why? Because why would the strangers need to keep Passover when the Passover is strictly for the Israelites? The Most High God passing over the Israelites to do what? To kill the Egyptians. So it's no need for the strangers, meaning the other nations in this context, to keep Passover. So it depends on the context that dictates the definition on how stranger is being used. Just to help you out, sis. So yeah, when we go back to that Deuteronomy chapter 10, Matthew's 25, 35. Hold on, brother. Swag Society. Let's go to it right quick. Well, we know in Matthew's 18 and 15, he said if they not trying to hear counsel, treat them as a stranger and as a heathen. He said 25, 35. Yeah, Khan, that's a great precept too. The book of Matthews, chapter 25 and verse number 35. And it reads, For I wasn't hungry, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. So that's a great point. Christ even called himself a stranger. Remember, being a stranger, meaning you're what? Outside of your respected tribes landmass. Going to the areas of different tribes of Israel, you would be considered a stranger. Nonetheless, you're still commanded to treat them as a brother, because guess what? We are brothers. We're of the same nation of Israel. That's why the Most High God gave us these particular laws. That's what Deuteronomy chapter 10, verses 18 is going into. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 10, verse 18. He doth execute the judgment of the fatherless and widow and loveth the stranger. Meaning the Most High God is commanding us to do what? To execute righteous judgments on the fatherless. Meaning a fatherless child is supposed to be what? As your child. You would want to treat them the same as yours, because why? It's of the same nation. And a child that has lost his mother. And a brother or sister that is a stranger, meaning they're not in their homeland. It says, in giving him food and raiment. This is not talking about the other nations. This is talking about the strangers of our people. This is what this is talking about. Verse 19, love ye therefore the stranger, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. This is what the Most High God is talking about, because in many times we can become strangers. David said it. We have many accounts of Israelites being strangers. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 69 and verse 8. Just go through a couple of precepts. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 69 and verse number 8. And it reads, I am become a stranger unto my brethren, and an alien unto my mother's children. It's saying it's a Psalm of David. Start at verse 1. Save me, O God, for the waters are come into my soul. I sink in deep mire, where there is none standing. I am come into deep waters, where the floods overflow me. So we know that these floods is going into the nations. This is David giving prophecies on how the nations will be taking over us. Deep waters, floods, these things goes into the nations. Verse 3, I am weary of my crying, and my throat is dry. Mine eyes fail while I wait for my God. They that hate me without a cause are more than the hairs of mine head. And we see that the nations, they hate us, and they are more than the hairs of our head. They hate us without a cause. It says, they that would destroy me, being mine enemies wrongfully, are mighty. Then I restored that which I took not away. O God, thou knowest my foolishness, and my sins are not hid from thee. Let them not that wait on thee of the Lord God of hosts be ashamed for my sake. Let not those that seek thee be confounded for my sake, O God of Israel. Because for thy sake I have borne reproach. Shame had covered my face. I am become a stranger unto my brethren, and an alien to my mother's children. Meaning, in these last days, a lot of our people don't know. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans don't know that we're the same people. You have this idiot brother and don't even know if he's really Native American, saying black people don't ride horses like Indians and shoot the bow like them. Therefore, how can they be Indians? You have dark people that are Indians. Not every Indian has to be of lighter skin. That's why I have books called Black Indians. The reason Indians today look the way that they do is because they mixed amongst Esau. So Israelites can be strangers. Shalom, Isaac Heron. Shalom. It says in Jeremiah 3:17, who's not walking after their evil heart in this context? The nations or the Israelites? Let's get there right quick. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 3. So when you start at Jeremiah chapter 3, it's going into how Israel played the harlot. Then when you jump down, it shows how Judah's sin became greater than northern tribe sins. Then in verse 12, it goes into the mercy that the Most High God has given us. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 3, verse 17, and it reads, at that time they shall call Jerusalem the throne of the Lord, and all the nations shall be gathered unto it, to the name of the Lord, to Jerusalem. Neither shall they walk any more after the imaginations of their evil heart. Verse 18, in those days the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of the north to the land that I have given them for an inheritance unto your fathers. But I said, how shall I put thee among the children and give thee a pleasant land, a goodly heritage of the hosts of the nations? And I said, thou shalt call me my father, and shalt not turn away from me. Surely as a wife treacherously departed from her husband, so have ye dealt treacherously with me, O house of Israel, saith the Lord. So yes, this is going into the other nations, meaning how when the Most High God sets up Judah and Israel, we're just going to be over the nations. That's all that's saying. And this is reiterated countless times. You have Ezekiel reiterating it. You have Micah reiterating it. I like Micah's account. You have Isaiah reiterating it. Let's go to the book of Micah. Remember, the Bible is saying the same thing over and over again. It's the book of Micah, chapter 2 and Micah chapter 4, verse 1. This is the book of Micah, chapter 4, verse 1, and it reads, but in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it, meaning the nations. And many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the God of Jacob. For he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. So remember, Micah is saying the same thing we just read in the book of Jeremiah 3 and 17. That how when the Most High God establishes the nation of Israel, the nations are going to flow into us to get what? Corrected and taught the ways of the Most High. Let's go to the last book of the Bible. This is the book of Revelations, chapter 22 and verse number 2, and it reads, and in the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, there was the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded a fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. Healing of the nations is the same thing Michael was talking about when it talks about what? Walking in our ways. That's how the nations that the Most High God don't destroy, that are going to be left as servants and handmaids, are going to be treated. Because guess what? Getting the wisdom and knowledge of the Most High is healing. It doesn't mean that they're going to be equal. It already established that in the verse 2. In the midst of the street of it, on either side of the river, there was the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. So we see the 12 manner of fruits is going into what? The 12 tribes of Israel. We get the fruit. And when we keep reading, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. So we see that the other nations get the leaves. They don't get what's much more nourishing, which is the fruit. They get the leftovers, showing that guess what? When God's kingdom is established, we're going to be first pickings, and the other nations are going to be subservient to us. But in no doubt, guess what? We're going to teach them God's laws, statutes, and commandments. How else is there supposed to be peace on earth? So yes, nations. Remember, it's saying the same thing. Shalom, brother Isaac Heron. Shalom, Mike. That's why I said the energy meeting, the brothers was good today. We were strangers, but brothers who were able to come together and talk for a minute. All praise, Sister Dara. Israel Mickey says, isn't there another day next month to redeem my Passover? Khan? If you weren't able to keep it this month, then yes, you have the following month, the second month, to be able to keep Passover. Khan, keep it 100 news. It says, can we go over Exodus chapter 12, verse 48? Khan, remember the context switches. So it establishes in verse 43 that those strangers are the other nations, because what would they need to do to keep Passover? Passover is not even for them. Most High God passed over the Israelites to kill the Egyptians. This is the book of Exodus chapter 12 verse 48, and it reads, and when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, but no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. And it's saying the same thing. Meaning what? When you don't have a brother that's in his homeland, he got to keep the Passover. So it's telling them that guess what? You have to get yourself in order to keep the Passover. Now we have brothers that go over the etymology, going into Gar, going into Ben Nakar. Remember, the scriptures dictate the context in which that word is being used. So the premise that you have to stand on is that what do the other nations need to keep Passover for? Passover is not for the other nations. It is not for the other nations. He passed over Israel to kill the Egyptians. I'm going to read it again, verse 48. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised. Then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land. For no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. This is the point, verse 49. One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. Meaning, you have an Israelite stranger, and you have an Israelite that's in the land of Judah. They're considered the same people. You treat them as you would treat, guess what, a brother that is of the land of Judah. Because it can't possibly, remember, you can understand the scriptures by one or two ways. You can understand it by process of elimination. If the Most High God put the Israelites above the other nations, how can this then be one law shall be to him that is homeborn and to the stranger that sojourneth among you? Because in Leviticus 25 and 35, the other nations were made to be what? Our servants and handmaids. So this has to be talking about a what? A Israelite stranger. Do brothers and sisters understand that? Let's prove it. Let's go to the book of Leviticus. Remember, the other nations were made to be servants and handmaids. It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 25 and verse number 44. Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Of them shall ye buy bondmen and bondmaids. Moreover, of the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy. Now it's calling them strangers. But these are the strangers that we can have as chattel slavery. How do we know? Let's keep reading. Of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they shall begat in your land, and they shall be your possession. 46. And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. They shall be your bondmen forever. But over your brethren, the children of Israel, ye shall not rule one over another with rigor. So that's showing you how you can make the distinction. It says it's the other nations. Proof the mixed multitude. It says probably my apologies. I'm a little behind in the live concepts. It's no religion. No Pentecostal. The Most High God did not give us religion. The so-called white man made religion. When you go back to all the different religions, let's pull it up. All these different religions stem from white men taking our Bible and making religion out of it. God never created religion. He never told you to be Episcopalian. He never told you to be a Pentecostal. He never told you to be a Baptist. He never told you these things. I gotta make my thumbnail. Damn, I need that slow and I need that thing put up. Pentecost 7-day. Hard for me to pull it up. They getting clever with this stuff. So you have Charles Parham, The Origin of Pentecost. Pentecost is a high holy day. He made this in 1906. Need that one. Damn, I need to make me a thumbnail on it. So you have Ellen G. White, Charles Parham. I need to be able. Okay, it's taking too much time. Says Israel Meek. My only thing that got me confused is the boats. I believe I came from Black Toe Native tribe. How many boats did it take to bring all of us Israelites to this land? Well, remember, it took quite a bit because it was tens of millions of us. So it took quite a bit. We don't know the exact count, but you know it had to be a lot of boats to carry millions upon millions of Israelites upon those boats. Yeah, the Bible doesn't say if she did or if she did not. It doesn't say. That's a good point, but they have to be able to show it in the scriptures, though. So we don't see that. So we just can't add to the scriptures. The Bible doesn't say whether or not she kept Passover or not. It says, keep it 100 news. Someone brought it up to me. It says, Israel Meek, but I'm Judah according to the Bible, but according to my grandparents, I'm native black toe. Come on, not. You be either from the tribe of Gad or from Reuben, one of the two. And remember, we know, like we say, you brothers may think that they Judah might come out, that they Reuben, you know. Most High God is going to open up that understanding when Christ comes back. You have brothers that are dark skinned. That's why we always tell brothers and sisters the truth is not about skin color. A lot of times people mistake that about us. This truth is not about skin color. It's about bloodline and your nationality, because Israelites can come from a very light to a very dark. We have different phenotypes. Some of us have thick nose, some of us have small nose. Some of us have big heads, some of us have small heads. So it's not a certain look that an Israelite has to be. In the beginning, yes, they were all dark. But as we mix with the other nations, different phenotypes played a big part on how we looked moving forward. Just like Issachar, just like Gadites, they mixed amongst the Ammonites when you read the book of Jeremiah 51. We have always mixed amongst other nations. That's why we look different. That's why we have different skin tones. That's why it's going to be Israelites out of every nation. Think about it, man. You have Israelites that are over there in Afro-Iranians, Afro-Iraqis. You have Afro-Syrians. You have Afro-Alaskans. You have Afro that stay in East India. Think about it, man. Mixing amongst these people, we'll look different. We ain't gonna everybody not gonna look like Sidney Poitier, like we always say, or damn Samuel Jackson or Wesley Snipes. Thanks, I on point. I want to pull the pictures up. That's what I just broke down, Jay. I literally just broke it down. John the Baptist. John Smith created Baptists in 1608. Think about it. We was now finna get ready to be sent over here on slave ships. Joseph Smith, Mormon, in 1830. Ellen White, Seventh-day Adventist, 1863. Jehovah Witness, all these are white men. All of them. So God never created and told us to be these things. White men made religion to keep us much more subservient unto them. That's all that it was. It's what the Latin word of religion means: to constrain, to bind. So no, this is not a religion. When we read the book of Revelations again, 22, book of Revelation chapter 22, I'm gonna start at verse 1. And he showed me a pure river of water, water of life, clear as crystal, meaning the understanding of the Bible is going to be clear. Water represents the understanding of the word. It says, as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lamb, meaning the Most High is giving the understanding to Christ. Christ is going to give the understanding to the 12 tribes of Israel, to where everything is made plain. Verse 2, in the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there a tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits. Those 12 manner of fruits symbolizes what? The 12 tribes of Israel. That fruit is going into us what? Yielding the law. Meaning Christ is going to be breaking down the understanding and we're going to be applying the law. Let's get that precept. Let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 3 and verse 20, and it reads, and yet tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart, that thy law might bring forth fruit in them. So the fruits that we're going to be bearing is the laws of the Most High. The book of Revelation, chapter 22 and verse 2, in the midst of the street of it, on either side of the river, was there a tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. Because once the Most High God established Christ's government, his kingdom, it'll be our job to teach the nations God's laws, statutes, and commandments. That is the job of the Israelites. That is the job of Christ, to establish the Most High's kingdom on the earth forever. And to establish it in righteousness, you have to have what? Laws, statutes, and commandments. It's going to go back to the laws of God. How do we know that? Let's go to the book of Isaiah. He's given a prophecy concerning that. Isaiah 2, verse 2. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 2, and verse number 2, and it reads, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he would teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Verse 4, and he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. So we know when Christ sets up his kingdom, destroy all the nations, get all the nations back in order, it won't be any more war. This is how we know that these things have not came to pass. So Society said, Romans chapter 4, verse 5. Let's get it. Remember, like we said, remember the book of Romans is written to the Israelites that were scattered in Rome. It's the book of Romans chapter 4, verse 5, and it reads, but to him that worketh not, but believeth on him that justifieth the ungodly, his faith is counted for righteousness. So this is going into giving a description on how Abraham, how he had faith. Remember, Abraham's faith was counted as righteousness. What made his faith count as righteousness? Because he did what God told him in winning what? About to give Isaac as a sacrifice. That obedience showed that he had faith in the Most High. So a lot of times Christians want to say, all I have to do is have faith. No, you have to have faith and works. That's why James covered that. Faith without works is what? Is dead, being alone. So we have to understand that faith is a work. This is all that this is going over. Faith is a work. How do we know that? Let's read Revelation chapter 14, verse 12. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 14, verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Yahushua. So you have to have them both. You cannot have one without the other. And this is what James goes a little bit deeper into. The book of James, chapter 2, verse 17, and it reads, even so faith, if it had not works, is dead, being alone. Yea, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Verse 19, thou believest that there is one God, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? Now he's going to go into Abraham. Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? Seest how faith wrought with his works, and by his works were faith made perfect. Your faith is made perfect by the work of your works. You have to have them both. Why the Most High God made a covenant with our forefather Abraham. It made it more perfect. You understand that? Success journey, Psalms chapter 147, 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. Come. Ehud, son of Yasharallah, it says approximately 12 million so-called Africans were forced unto roughly 12,000 to 36,000 ships destined for the Americas between 1500 to 1866. Khan, thanks for that information, Khan. Says keep it 100. Slavery was a span of 400 years after Portugal ruled. It was the Dutch, then British with other European powers back. Yes, they were back in there. So you had it to where, what was that? The Papal Bull. This started way like in the 1400s. They were setting a tone basically to enslave what they were called Africans, but they knew they were really Israelites. So you had the Papal Bull being established by the Pope to do what? To enslave all black people. At that time, they was calling us black to take our heritage from us. So not only did it started way before then. They were setting a foundation for it in the 1400s. So yes, they were most definitely. At that time, they were back into power. They had kicked us out when we were known as the Moors. Remember, Moors is an amalgamation of Israelites, Africans, and so-called Ishmaelites. That's when we took over Europe, domesticated them. Then sooner or later, they got the upper hand back over us and did what? Enslaved us and sent many of us to Africa as well, and to the islands and so on. So yes, they most definitely was involved with it. That's why it's called the transatlantic slave trade, the triangle slave trade, because it was going from United States to Great Britain back down to Africa. They all was in it. Joel talks about that as well. Not only were the British and the Dutch was in it, but guess what? You have so-called Arabs and Africans were in it as well. That's what the book of Joel goes into. It's the book of Joel. So all nations had a part in our slavery, not just the so-called white man, because even to this day, so-called Arabs still have our people in slavery over there in what we would call Yemen today, Northern Africa. They had us in a sub-Saharan slave trade a lot longer as well. It's the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse number 1. And it reads, for behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I also will gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my lands. And they have cast lots for my people, and has given a boy for an harlot, and have sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon? This is what the Most High God is getting on Africans right here, and all the coast of Palestine. The Palestinians were an ancient African race, but today they are made up of the Arabs. So the Most High is going after Africans and Ishmaelites or Arabs today. He says, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. So even for the Palestinians getting done the way that they done, remember, they had a hand in our slavery as well. A lot of people don't know that history. They feel sorry for them. But guess what? That's the judgment of the Most High. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly, pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their borders. So you had Africans and you had Arabs sell us to the white man. So they all involved in it. It's not just Esau. Success Journey says, studied by Brown University, historian finds that Native Americans who surrendered during King's Philip War were sold into slavery with long-lasting effects. That's some good history. And we want, brothers and sisters, pull out this history. That history is out there, man. We want brothers and sisters to dig more deeper into the historical accounts of our slavery, how they divided us as a nation, the discipline, the displacement of our people throughout these particular areas. Jake, Shalom, Mark. Tyler Hansberry says, Shalom, does Ezekiel 47, 6-12 precept Revelations 21, 5-1? Yes, that is what that's going into. This is where John the Revelator is pulling this from, because it's going to be set up. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 47, and verse number 6. This is going into the same thing, how the river brings life to the land. That river is symbolic for the understanding and the word of the Most High. That's how we get life. We get life by what? Getting the understanding of the Bible. This is the book of Ezekiel 47 and verse 6. And he said unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen this? Then he brought me and caused me to return to the brink of the river. Now, when I had returned, behold, at the brink of the river were very many trees on the one side and on the other side. So you had nations on each side of the river. Verse 8, like how we just read in the book of Revelations 22, verses 1 and 2. Then said he unto me, these waters issue out toward the east country. When it talks about the east country in the Bible, that makes reference to the land of Israel. It says, and go down into the desert, and go into the sea, which being brought forth into the sea, the waters shall be healed. Meaning what? Ezekiel seeing visions of the Israelites in their kingdom, and guess what? Having the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and then giving it out to the other nations. This is a direct link up with these precepts. That's a great precept. Make sure, brothers and sisters, write it down. It's a great read. We have classes on these things. A lot of times, brothers and sisters, just type in battle axes, type in tree of life, and you'll be able to see those breakdowns. Swag Society, the water. Can you give me understanding on 2 Corinthians 3 and 14? Let's get it right quick. Damn, that damn 45 minutes passed by fast as hell. Get a few more. Try to answer it all. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 14. This is going into what? The glory of the Lord. This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 14. And it reads, but their minds were blinded, for unto this day remaineth the same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament, which veil is done away in Christ. Meaning, people that are not keeping the commandments of the Most High, they have a veil over their face. Brothers and sisters, like we was talking to this sister yesterday, and she was basically saying she focused more in on the New Testament. And we like, sister, you can read the New Testament. There's nothing wrong with you having favorite books, but You should be able to know the Bible front and back. Remember, what book do you start at the end of the book to get the understanding? That's why when you're reading things in the New Testament, you have no idea what those things are going into. It's the same way that he's bringing out now. Our people have a strong delusion or a veil over their face to where they just want to jump to the New Testament and don't know what it's talking about at all, especially when it comes to Paul's epistles. Verse 14 or verse 15, even unto this day when Moses is read, Moses is what? The Old Testament. The veil is upon their heart. So just like how we see people today, they only want to read one part of the Bible. You even have Israelites that are what? Old Testament only. They dumb as hell too. Because how in the hell can you not, you have one part of the Bible and you don't have the back half of the Bible? You're not understanding Christ is coming. It's crazy. Even unto this day, when Moses is read, the veil is upon their heart. Nevertheless, when it shall turn to the Lord, the veil shall be taken away. Meaning, when you come to the Most High in humbleness and in meekness and being subservient to his laws, statutes, and commandments, the Most High God takes that veil away from you and opens up understanding to you. A lot of times, brothers and sisters have that veil over their face because guess what? They're not being obedient to the commandments and they're rejecting the words of the Most High. So, of course, the Most High got to do what? He will put a strong delusion on you. People don't notice about the Most High, but he says it throughout all the scriptures. He puts strong delusions on people, man. This is the book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusions, that they should believe a lie. When you reject the Most High, he'll reject you. Not only will he reject you, he would also put a strong delusion on you that causes you to believe a lie. That's why it's not a coincidence. A lot of our people are in Christianity. The Most High God has put a strong delusion on them because Christianity has absolutely nothing to do with the Bible. I said the Arabs, they also helped Rome in the last exile con. You have to bring out that information. Yeah, it does. It really does, man. Time be flying, man. Dang. But with that, man, give all honor and praise to the Most High. Pray that brothers and sisters were edified. Pray that Spirit of the Most High, we answered those questions and brothers and sisters were edified. Like you say, share, like the videos, man. Help us push this truth to the four corners of the earth. Like I say, make sure brothers and sisters giving arms to help us in this ministry, man. You know, the Most High God sees that as a mighty thing. When you know that you're an Israelite and you will do these things for the betterment of this truth. We always tell brothers and sisters to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. So we always like to leave with a law. Leviticus chapter 19. No, I know what I want. This is the book of Leviticus chapter 19, verse 15, and it reads, and ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the persons of the poor, nor honor the persons of the mighty. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Brothers and sisters, we want to make sure that we stop the tale bearing. We want to make sure that we stop the gossip that is in Israel. Like you're saying, if you hear in certain situations where you're hearing brothers and sisters down talking a brother or sister, either you correct that brother or sister or you get far away from that madness. We want to make sure that we stay in the spirit in these last days, man. We don't need no brothers or sisters causing what? Disorder in the congregation. You want brothers and sisters, guess what? causing brothers and sisters to fall out with one another, trying to break the unity which the Most High God has set up. I want to make sure that brothers and sisters rock in the spirit, man. And if you have an offense against a brother or sister, make sure brothers and sisters are applying Matthews 18 and 15. Too many times do we harbor feelings against what a brother or sister did, and you're not applying the scriptures. Those scriptures are made for us to apply, because once you don't apply them in a timely manner, it snowballs into something bigger. Something small now is something big. So we want to make sure, brothers and sisters, that we're applying the laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability, man, and staying in the spirit, man. And with that, we'll say shalom.